You better watch out. You better watch out. You better watch out. You better watch out. Veteran Lucas is back too. I don't know, teach you. That'll work. Yeah, that's fine.
I let that go far longer than I should.
That sounded very ominous, though, honestly. What are you teaching us?
I mean, I could teach y'all English, but you all seem pretty good at that. I don't know. And everything I know about fish, you probably know too. Let me think. Fish be scary, yo. That's about it. That's all we're going to get.
Fish they're friends.
Yeah, there are friends, but there are scary friends. So, hello, everybody. All three of us are back. Welcome to another episode of The Science of Pokemon. It's me, Veteran Lucas, and with me are the two best people you can have on a Christmas episode on a budget, Cameraman Chris and Fisherman Don. How are you guys doing on the holidays?
You know, I'm ready. I'm hoping we get a little bit of snow. Don and I talked about snow last time and how much I love it.
It sickens me, but go on.
I love cold weather. I was the kid in high school who wore shorts year round.
Hey, I was that too, but in Florida.
Granted, like, Northern Virginia is not super cold, but like it still would get into like the 20s or lower. But I was shorts year round all the time. Loved the cold weather, worked in ice rinks. So this is my favorite time of year. Not just the holidays, just winter in general.
Don, what do you do on the holidays? Does it kill things? I feel like it kill things.
I just got back from fishing, and yesterday I also went fishing. And then when I go home to visit family, I go hunting. So yes.
So guys, this episode we're putting out, we are going to be talking about Christmas. And we're going to put it after Christmas because there's this tension rising up to Christmas, and then it cuts out. We're going to give you a little extra Christmas after your Christmas to get over the Christmas. Did that seem reasonable?
And also so that we can have time for ourselves.
That thing. We're going to do it that way. There's not going to be a Lucas lecture. Well, there wasn't a Lucas lecture before this came out, because I just wanted a holiday where I can enjoy Christmas the Japanese way. And we'll get to what that is in the episode.
Is the KFC thing a real thing that I've heard about? Or is that...
I will explain it all to you. No spoilers. I will explain it.
That's a teaser. See, they don't know.
Does Japan consume large amounts of KFC for the holidays? Let's find out. Okay, so to start off, while we are recording this, it's a little bit after our Love of Lava episode, so some of the Pokemon news might not be as updated. Just forgive us on that one. It's the holidays. But for science news, there was a recent thing that popped up where there are certain foundations and organizations that are tasked with finding alien life on other planets. And one of the things that recently popped up was in a system, the star closest to us. They were able to pick up what they believe to be radio signals. Now, this happens a lot more than people think, but it's still one of those things where they're going to get it checked out. I do think that that's something that should be noted, is that if there is some kind of radio signal, if there is some kind of satellite out there, we have the equipment to check it out. But one of the things that I always find so interesting is people are like, well, why haven't we found anything yet? It's kind of like throwing a bucket in the ocean and then like scooping up the bucket and finding no fish in there. And it's like, there must not be anything in this water.
Man, you just suck at buckets.
What you don't know, Lucas, is that the signal is just Staryu and Starmie.
Oh, no, it's calling home. They're calling home.
They're sending those signals out, ready for the Staryu invasion.
Look, in 2021, we will do an alien episode. I am 99% sure on that.
Oh, I'm so down. Why haven't we done one of those before I even started? What's wrong with those priorities? That should have been episode number 1.
I mean, I did a little lecture on it to, whet the palate, get them excited for it. You got to build up to greatness, Don. You can't just start with greatness. You gotta build up. That's why I'm the second child in my family. My brother was the first, the build up, and then I'm the star. That's how it works out.
Yeah, I'm the build up child.
Yeah. So again, I just think it's something important to realize, is that we do have people who are currently looking for life on other planets, and it's not a matter of if there is; it's a matter of where. I'm sorry, there's got to be something else out there. If you think there's nothing else but us in the universe, that is some weird, selfish thinking right there. Like, there's got to be something. It doesn't have to be smart. It could be goo, but it's living goo.
Like, statistically speaking, there's got to be something.
Yeah. All right, so what do we have? I mean, Pokemon related.
Don and I, we always bring up the Players' Cup, and we talked a lot about how it ended last time, and literally the day we recorded is also...
We speculated when the third one would be.
Yes. And we recorded on a Wednesday, and then on like I guess it was Friday when we were, or Thursday when I was editing the episode, they were like, Players Cup 3 is a thing. So yeah, we're already on to Players Cup 3, and Don and I are pumped.
Yes, we are.
Is there any different rule set, or just may the odds be ever in your favor?
We don't know.
Yeah, it's a thing, and I think we know it's going to be on the 18th of January for the Invitational.
Yeah, the rule is you can only use Magirna. Only Magirna, right, Don?
That's fine. Magirna's great and totally not busted.
I was listening. When I listened to the stuff we post before we send it out. I was like, oh, I love Magirna. I wonder why. Oh, right. Broken.
Yeah, well, it's not like I don't think, I really doubt I'll ever have to run into it in an actual setting that like has real stakes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely still it's in any situation where you do have to run into it, it's a scary.
I mean,
scary thing.
I you know me. If I can make the number higher, I would. I've looked into. I mean, that team you let me try out has been fun. I'm just always looking for the next big thing I can throw on somebody. Anything from a flare boosted drift bloom to a weakness policy.
Don't use flare booster.
Oh, I love one of my personal ones I love doing is just a classic Dragapult with a Weavile or something using Fling, or like anything with Fling on a ghost type with a weakness policy is my personal joy.
Just to make it extra.
Well, then you can change the what I really like to do with Fling is I like to add one of those berries that increases critical chances. So then you throw that on a Drift Bloom who has Unburden. So you up the speed, up the attack, and give it the ability to get higher crit chances, and then while it's Dynamax. So it's pretty nice.
Actually, that's pretty cool.
Always fun.
I'm actually using a flare boosted Drift Bloom in the charity tournament.
Yeah, but that's the one thing, right?
It's different. Yeah, it's definitely different, but I get like 3 abilities per Pokemon.
Yeah, that's busted. That's wild.
Yes, we are both very excited for Players Cup. We'll let you all know when we see more info about the rules or anything specific like that. I guess the only other kind of update thing is that in Pokemon Go they just released Galar Mr. Mime, which is very like kind of cool. All right.
You exist.
Well, it's also kind of like he'll be available overall eventually, but right now you can only get him through a paid research thing that's like $8.
Ooh.
And like other stuff comes with it. And so like, yeah, I'm just not going to pay $8 for Galar, Mr. Mime, and Mr. Rhyme, you know?
It is creepy. We don't like him.
Why would I pay for it to look at me?
And he's just standing there tapping away. If people are trying to complete the dexes and they missed Mr. Mime events since he's geolocked to France, I can kind of see it, but like, not for me.
No, I'm my goal in Japan is to collect as many Farfetch as I can to bring back home with me.
I will say that they are doing a Kanto event in the game coming up where they are going to be releasing the shiny version of every Kanto Pokemon.
Oh,
Ooh.
really?
Yes, and I believe there will be a research. I think it's a research to get shiny Mew, but yes, every Gen 1 Pokemon will have its shiny released and will be available.
Sweet. I mean, it's another chance for me to try and get that shiny Magikarp.
Oh man, I've got one I can give you. We just need to be within 50 kilometers.
I see some challenges. We'll see if we can figure them out. So yeah, not too much crazy news, but it's the holidays. Everyone stops doing news during the holidays. Everyone's like, no, we'll just save it unless the world's ending, which is 2020. So it might. All right, let's get to the Christmas. I really want to get more holidays in this. So it should be noted, one of the things that I always make sure people understand about me whenever I talk about Christmas is that I am Catholic. Like, I do practice the Catholic way of doing things. How do you guys celebrate Christmas? What is your, like, Christmas thing?
Typically, I never really go home to my sort of immediate family. This year will be a little different given things. My immediate family that I see anyway because of Rona stuff, we're going to rent a cabin in the woods instead. Because typically we would, like, Christmas itself was like sort of pretty immediate family. You know, we'd have a nice dinner. My aunt's side of the family, if they hosted, we'd go to church with them. Otherwise, we just kind of depended on the year. I think obviously this year we'll not be doing that. Then we'll be going. And then typically I did it's like a small family thing for Christmas itself, and then right after Christmas we typically go visit I have a bunch of family in Georgia, so we then go over there and visit them, but not this year.
Chris, what about you?
I'm kind of in the same boat, just, being with family, which obviously is very different this year, but being with family, reflecting on the year and just celebrating each other and looking forward to the next year and just really taking a time to kind of pause and reflect. And then we have all the traditions of trees, and my dad goes bananas with Christmas lights.
He's that guy.
He is that, but it's also very Star Warsy.
Ooh, fun.
There's Darth Vader and Yoda and an AT-AT in his yard, and I think there's I think he added an X-Wing inflatable last year.
Oh, that's sweet.
So he goes hard.
I'm sure, does he love the Star Wars Christmas special, or does he pretend it doesn't exist?
I honestly don't know if he's watched it.
He shouldn't.
Oh, wait, sorry. I thought you meant the Lego one that just came out.
No, I bet that's sweet.
He has seen the original, and yes, he does not have it.
Shocking. Yeah, for me, my Christmas is on Christmas Eve. My family always goes to the 6 p.m. or whatever mass we can. Obviously, they wouldn't be doing that now because of my mom working as a nurse and everything. She doesn't even get a chance to go to the church because some people are really, really foolish, no matter who they believe in. But normally we'd go to the Christmas Eve mass. We'd invite a bunch of people for Christmas Eve dinner, have a big party. We always invite people who don't have family because we realize that sometimes family sucks and you don't want to be around them. So you can join ours and we'll feed you. And that's my family's motto. You show up on our doorstep, we'll feed you. And on Christmas Day, we always buy a birthday cake for Jesus. That's my favorite Christmas tradition.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it's just get a cake. It's Jesus' birthday. And as far as I'm concerned, Jesus loves ice cream cookie cake, and that's kind of it's the same as me. What are the odds? Merry Christmas, Jesus! But what I wanted to point out is that everyone celebrates the holidays a little bit different, and I personally think that's okay. But many people don't. You'll see the stickers all the time in my church where it just says, "Keep the Christ in Christmas. Don't celebrate if you don't believe in Jesus." But Christmas has changed a lot. While we're doing the research for this, for starters, back in the day, nobody even liked celebrating birthdays. That was a pagan thing.
Do you know the tale about when it was one of the early American settler colonies? They banned Christmas, basically.
Was it one of the Puritans? Because it sounds like the Puritans.
Yeah, because basically all of the sort of happiness associated with the gifts didn't seem. It was basically meant to be a day of extra staring at the ground and being sad.
Yeah, it was meant for. I think you mean piety and prayer.
Extra penance.
Yeah, extra piety and prayer, which translates to the same thing. But back in the day, and I'm talking in the 300 AD. These people were literally no, we can't celebrate his literal birthday because we celebrate martyrs on the day that they died because that's when they're born into the kingdom of heaven. So it's instead of celebrating someone like St. Patrick's birthday, we celebrate the day he died, that sort of deal. But December 25th was eventually accepted as the day by the Romans because it was close enough to their connections to the sun god. Now, over time, the trees with the lights and the present giving, they were added by different cultures, and everyone just said, hey, that seems neat. I'm going to go ahead and add that to my thing. But like you said, the Puritans hated that part.
Yeah, not really big on the fun.
That's why anytime someone talks about the American settlers were the true pioneers, the American settlers were so radically Christian, other Christians didn't want to be associated with them. They were the Christians who literally hated fun. Our country America was partially started by a group of people who hated the concept of fun. I think they would like to see how America turned out now. Just, hi, let me introduce you to Miami, Florida, between the months of March and April. Have fun.
Yes, because the rest of the time, Miami is a paradise for all puritanical beliefs.
Oh, of course. Piety and prayer.
Good listeners of Miami, I love your fair city, and I do enjoy going there. So this is not me insulting it in any way.
I was born in that fair city, like most Cubans were, and it's a wonderful place to go.
That said, I don't like driving in it.
No one does. That's the trick.
Is there any major city where it's you know what? Driving here is great.
No,
but there's some cities that just are bad. Atlanta is just bad.
Atlanta's awful.
I grew up in DC, or just outside of DC. So.
Ooh,
that's bad because your streets don't make sense.
Yeah,
because they decided to make them round instead of straight like normal streets should be.
Well, that's assuming you actually get into the city. I lived maybe 20 miles outside the city, and I worked in the city, lived outside, and it was a 2.5 hour commute one way.
All right, so back on track. And let's just go into Santa Claus, because that's the one thing I always think that's so interesting that everyone kind of adds to Christmas.
I decided to spare you all and not do my best Buddy the Elf impression as soon as you said Santa. I was tempted to just be like, Santa! Oh my God! I know him.
No, so the reason why Santa is part of Christmas is so fun because Saint Nicholas, again, was a religious figure, and Christmas was supposed to be, a lot of times Christmas was celebrated around December 6th, which is his feast day, the day he died. So when I was going through this, all saints typically have, like, they're the patron saint of farmers, the patron saint of, like, widows. Saint Nicholas is on record for having being the patron for some of the most stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of cool stuff too.
Yeah, it's the patron saint of sailors, merchants, archers.
See, I knew a thing.
Repentant thieves, prostitutes, children, brewers, pawnbrokers, and unmarried people. So he covers all of us in one way or the other. Yay!
Sorry, is unmarried people like people who are together but not married, or just like anyone in the world not married?
Probably the second one, because I think the first one was just they didn't like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just not even, like, no, they didn't want to care for that. But, like, technically, yes. Now, because of that, most people just stick to the two big ones, which are sailors and children. The reason why St. Nicholas is associated with gifts is one of the stories about him, where, with the story of the three daughters, where these, I'm going to paraphrase this story pretty bad, so forgive me if I mess up the details. There was a man who was going to help his daughters get married, but he was poor and he lost all his money due to the devil or something, and he didn't have the money to pay the dowry to get his daughters to be married. So St. Nicholas, being a humble man and didn't want to make the guy feel bad, would sneak into his house and leave dowries, one a night for each daughter. At the final night, the man woke up and found St. Nicholas doing it and thanked him from the bottom of his heart, and St. Nicholas asked him to keep it quiet. Given that this story is out, that failed miserably.
Yeah.
I mean, it is one of those things where it kind of became a smaller part, but the Santa that we know came from a poem in the mid to early 1800s called A Visit from St. Nicholas. And that poem is the one where we first see the Santa with the beard and the red. The red outfit was meant to be similar to that of a bishop's in the Christian faith.
Oh. Wait, you mean a cardinal?
No, apparently the bishops wore red. It's weird.
But they used to wear red back then too. How about that?
Yeah, look at that. But it was interesting that after all these years, Santa's only been a thing for about 197 years, give or take. It was 1823 when that poem was put out. So different stories cropped up all over the world about it. Again, cultures are going to take a story and change it to fit their narrative. You all know the story of Krampus, right?
When do we get a Krampus Pokemon?
We will talk about that. That's later, Dot. We will get one. But
I don't read the show notes.
That's why we love you. It's spontaneity. I think with Krampus, if you guys aren't as familiar with what he's supposed to do, the most common iteration is on Christmas night, you wake up, Santa's there. Santa is going to quiz you on your prayers to make sure you've been practicing them correctly. If you practice them correctly and you get them all right, you get presents and everything is happy. If you don't, Santa gets real quiet. He leaves. Then a demon shows up named Krampus, bursts into your house, puts you in a sack, and beats you with a stick. And then in some iterations, he eats you. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that version of Christianity where, hi, love God or the demons will come.
Classic Krampus.
Yeah, Germany.
Also, not that bad of a horror movie.
Yeah, I didn't hate Krampus.
Yeah,
I heard it was
it's
decent.
fun. You know, it's not breaking any boxes or breaking any molds, but it's just fun.
Yeah, it's just like, let's watch this demon terrorize these terrible people. The final thing I do want to wrap up is that, again, if you live in the United States and you turn on certain news networks, you're going to see a lot of this debate on the war on Christmas, and it boils down to, how are you supposed to celebrate this holiday that's been around for almost 2,000 years? And it's so interesting because everyone has their traditions. And personally, as someone who goes to church every Christmas he gets a chance to, I say celebrate it how you like, don't hurt anybody, and let everyone celebrate their own way. Follow those 3 steps, and you're a good person. In Mexico, for example, The kids literally go door to door and reenact the scene from the story of the birth of Jesus, where they pretend to knock on doors and ask if there's any room at the inn. Like, they knock on the door, is there any room at the inn? No, they go back and forth, and eventually they'll get to one house where there is room, like they considered like that would be where the stable is, and they have a big party with a piñata. I know that seems stereotypical, but piñatas are awesome. In Brazil, they combine the two. You can have, because it's hot in the summertime and the wintertime, thanks to the lovely thing that is the equator.
Shout out to the equator.
Yes, good job, equator.
You're going to have music festivals and priests marching at midnight. But Don, let me tell you about Japanese Christmas, Don. You wanted to hear about it. So,
yes,
Japan is the most secular Christmas I have ever seen. There is not a drop of the nativity. It is all Santas, candy canes, and the two things that everyone eats here is Christmas cake and Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
I feel like the story here is the fried chicken, but what is Christmas cake?
Christmas cake is literally just a really sweet, decadent cake covered in Christmassy stuff. It's just a really sweet cake. It kind of ties back to how, like, my family eats cake as, like, a birthday cake for Jesus. Like, it's got real distant ties to stuff like that, where everyone just kind of gets their dessert. I ordered one for myself, like one that's meant for a family of 4, and I'm going to eat it with a spoon on Christmas in my bed.
Nice.
It's going to be happy. Merry. But for Christmas, all right, so literally 50 years ago this year, Takeshi Okawara, he was the owner of the first KFC franchise in Japan. And so he noticed that foreigners would come in and he would hear them complaining at the store like, I wish there was like a turkey or like some roast pig or something we can have for the holiday that reminds me of home. And so he got the idea to start the ad campaign, Christmas ni wa Kentucky, which roughly translates to Kentucky Fried Chicken on Christmas. And so he started selling buckets of chicken that were holiday themed, and it turned out to be a huge success. Kentucky Fried Chicken jumped on that and spread the campaign nationwide. So now, 50 years later, every single person here consumes fried chicken on Christmas. It's not even that old of a tradition, but it shows you how proper marketing can create an entire culture.
The power of advertising.
Now, I would like for you guys to guess the price for a bucket of Christmas chicken for a family of 3. You don't get a biscuit. $3.50.
I can't do the conversion to yen, so I'm just going to say $4.
$4 for a bucket of chicken. Try 40.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Fried chicken here, stupid expensive. You are literally paying more for a bucket of fried chicken than you would pay for a turkey you had to cook.
I paid $40 for 8 live chickens.
Is that because are there, like, is that for, like, importing prices, or is that just what that costs?
Fried chicken and pizza in Japan cost more because they use better ingredients on them. Like, I've tried the fried chicken here, and it is amazing beyond words. I still won't eat at a KFC because I prefer eating at, like, the smaller local Japanese chains. You know, I don't want to be that American who goes to a McDonald's and a KFC when he lands here. But it's really interesting that is their Christmas. Like, their Christmas has nothing to do with the nativity, no 3 wise men, no Jesus, none of that. It's literally just, hey, Santa's going to bring us presents, probably books and stuff. We're going to sit as a small family group. We are going to eat Christmas cake. We are going to eat fried chicken, and that is our Christmas. That is how everyone does it here. Like, everywhere is sold out of fried chicken. You cannot get any fried chicken in this country for the next few days.
Does that mean that KFC is open on Christmas in Japan?
Everything is kind of open on Christmas in Japan because, remember, it's a secular holiday. There are people who go, like, they don't make us English teachers work on Christmas, but they'll totally make us go to schools on Christmas Eve. New Year's is the big thing for them. Like, the New Year is a much more important and symbolic holiday. That's when they go to the temples and pray. That's the one where they're more pious and the ones that they take more seriously. Christmas is like, it's a fun holiday we took from the gaijin, the foreigners. Let's have some chickens. It's great. I love it so. But yeah, there's your Christmas knowledge, y'all. You can rest easy knowing that they really do think fried chicken is for Christmas. And what's worse is they think other people eat fried chicken on Christmas too. And I corrected all my English classes, like, no, y'all are the only ones. Just you. No one else would do this.
It's a tradition I could get behind.
Yeah, not for $40 you can't.
Probably no. I'll get a turkey for that. But
We normally do barbecue on Christmas in my house.
oh, that's also
Ooh.
nice.
All right, so I'm out of Christmas stuff. Y'all want to just get some Pokemon? So, what is a Christmas episode without our good friend Delibird? When he first came out, everyone's like, "That's Santa." So I didn't even need to do research on it. Like, that's a Santa bird. We're good on that.
He's got a little sack that carries his stuff around too.
Yeah. Now, it is an interesting Pokemon because it's just one of those, like, you don't even have to guess. It's just like, yep, that's based on him. But he does have a weird penguin-like body. And since he flies, he's kind of closer to a puffin in that regard. He's just a weird, poofy puffin. But he is said that in his Pokedex entry that he carries food around in the sack. He'll give food to those in need. Birds have been known to do this. There are only a few birds out there, but it's called allo feeding. Basically, where someone you are not related to genetically, or even if you're in the same species, you bring them food and feed them. So this has been noticed in birds more often than not. It's within your species, but it's to something you're not related to. It is really interesting to watch that behavior in birds because I believe the evolutionary mechanism of it would be for like, oh, this will help perpetuate. If I start feeding and caring for this baby, then someone might notice that I'm good at caring and might mate too. Again, there's a lot of nuance to that. It's kind of like when you get a dog and you try and show off, look how good I'm caring for this dog at the dog park, and then like you get attention from that. Yeah, the real reason I want to bring this up, because Don, you were asking about a Krampus Pokemon.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on a Delibird regional variant being Krampus?
I love it. If they could make him not bad, I'd love it even more.
It has to be. We were talking about this while you were gone, Don. We said that the only options we felt like were that it could be a cross type of ice and either dark or fire.
Yeah, I like that. Doesn't it? He beats you with a stick, right? So you can make him a grass type.
Yeah. Oh, it could have like the what is that? Like the Steely Spirit ability, but like for
Grass type, so they can beat them.
Yeah, I can just start beating them. Oh, and instead of having gifts in the stack, it has instead of present, it's like a capture move where it holds you down and lowers your attack every turn, like Octolock.
It's a trap move.
Yeah, it's a trap. Like and you're in the sack, and every turn you take damage and you get your attack lowered. It would be perfect.
That would I'm into that. That'd be cool. The opposite of Delibird.
Yeah.
Yeah, the opposite. Here's a present. Like, no, is there a chance of getting health? No, get in the bag. What? Get in the bag.
But Lucas, I have a question for you, which is if you could elaborate. So I'm looking at the dexes for Delibird and specifically the sun and moon ones. And it says, although it prefers colder locales, Delibird and Alola withstands the heat. Now, there are penguins that are not in cold areas. And can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Most penguins are not in cold areas.
Yes.
That's the big thing. Out of 18 species of penguin, 13 of them are found in places that are similar temperatures and climates to Florida. Like they are hot. It's like 85 to 95 degrees. The water is cool, which is why they have the feathers. But there are literally penguins on the Galapagos Islands, which is one of the hottest places on Earth. Like penguins like cool water. They don't like cold places all that much. Only 5 species actually live in Antarctica. The rest, they're going to find someplace that's warm and sunny, and then the water's cool with plenty of fish. And it kind of works out.
So should we have gotten a regional Delibird then in Alola?
I think, again, when it comes to Christmas and the Japanese, they have a view of Christmas as, like, it's Santa Claus. And Santa Claus is everywhere. Except in New Zealand and Australia, where Santa Claus wears swim trunks and no shirt.
So we'll just hold on to our Krampus one. I do have to point out, though, that I am a little glad that Santa never brought me bugs on Christmas, unlike Delibird, who will, because he eats bugs, and that's sometimes the food he brings.
Oh, my Lord, that's just it. Like, oh, Merry Christmas, yay. Here's this beetle I found. You hungry?
No, thank you.
No?
I'm good.
It's cool, though. It's cool. I'm not, you can have it. It's for you. It's a gift to Santa, so it shows you how good a boy I am. All right, now we kind of have to transition to the other one that's really associated with Christmas, and that's Stantler.
Yay!
Yeah, your boy.
Yeah, he's not really talked about. He's like one of the most, like, when you think about Pokemon, people forget he's right there next to Finneon. Like people don't think about Stantler. Like he doesn't have anything. Like his Pokedex entry is terrifying, but it is interesting. So a lot of times people don't realize that reindeer is just another word for caribou. And the way I found it out is in Europe you call them reindeer. In North America they're caribou. That's the name difference you're gonna get.
I normally hear it too as the sort of like domesticated version. That's farm.
Yeah, that's the other one I hear too. Is like when they're domesticated, you get to call them reindeer as well. So in Europe you call them reindeer. If they're domesticated in the Americas you call them reindeer. And if they're out loose in the wild in North America, they're caribou.
Yeah, caribou are really cool. I would really like to go have an excursion.
And like moose, aren't they really big?
They're pretty big.
They have the largest rack of antlers of any living species of deer.
Related to body size, though, right? Doesn't a moose have more?
Yes, related to body size, it is the largest. Thank you for the correction.
And I believe the females also have antlers. And this is a fact to point out if any listeners don't know. Antlers, the difference between antlers and horns. So antlers grow and are lost typically annually, and horns are like connected to the animal's skull permanently, and they like grow like additively every year.
Most deer, only the male have antlers in order to show off to the girls, but the females in this species have them too. You are correct on that, Don. And that shows that they use it both for defense. So it's not for showing off to the girls anymore. It's used to fight off predators like wolves and bears and what have you.
Alpha male caribou do have like a very Fabio-esque like mane going on that I think is their method of showing off. They like very like luscious like mane sort of deal going on.
They got the floof.
Yes.
The floof. They are a really important species, though, because they are so large and because they migrate in such massive herds. These animals have been food, clothing, and transportation for a lot of people for thousands of years. In the environment case, their migration is similar to that of wildebeest and zebras in the Serengeti. It's to help digest the vegetation that other animals can't and help reproduce that energy back into the ecosystem. Without them, you would lose what little vegetation that the areas have. The Christmas thing is, again, from that poem, A Visit from St. Nicholas, the same one that popped.
Oh, I have sad science news.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
That we just, well, this was last year. It sounds like last year. So we actually, did you know that we, up until apparently last year, we had a caribou herd in the like continental U.S.?
Not in the continental. I thought they were all in Canada. What happened?
It was a herd that would cross between U.S. and Canada.
Okay.
It hadn't been doing very well for a long time, and like the herd sort of like vanished. It wasn't a very large herd, and it's like it's their mountain caribou, which are like a debatable subspecies versus just like caribou that live in the mountains. They don't know if it was like the numbers were so low that it was predation or disease or something along those lines. Obviously, it's not like one that people can go hunt or anything like that. So I think it was like some environmental factors that led to it, unfortunately.
Darn it. I mean, that does go to what it says in the Dex entry about Stantler. Again, its antlers can warp space around them and make you go insane.
Yeah, it's not. I'm always shocked that it's not normal psychic because it gets trick room.
Yeah, it's just it's got weird antlers, but in the Dex it says that they were hunted for them, and that is 100% true in reality. There was literally an article Nat Geo posted very recently that talked about how the largest herd in the world, which lives in Russia, is being poached. So people will take the antlers when they're newly grown. Like when they're first growing, they're really fuzzy.
The velvet.
Yeah, the velvet. They want the velvety one. So they'll hunt them, cut the antlers, leave the animal to wander alone, and they'll sell them for everything from vitamin supplements, aphrodisiacs. Like, it's not okay. Like, it's bad.
It's really just for the velvet, too, which is the thing. It's like, yeah, if it was just for the antlers, then just wait till they drop them and it's fine. But
yeah, if you're collecting antlers, like that's always what I love about like when people like, oh, we can just get these antlers. Like you just wait in the woods for them to drop off, you clean them, and no one gets hurt.
Well, there's actually the point. So shed hunting has become a really big deal. This is a huge aside. In certain states, I think in Oregon especially, it's like collection of sheds for either if they're like really nice ones, they can be sold for like home decoration and people make chandeliers and whatnot. And then the crappy ones can be used as dog treats, like dog toys.
Yeah, so
it's gotten to the point where states are looking at instituting a shed hunting season because there's so many people out looking for sheds in the winter right after like deer and elk drop them that it's stressing out the deer and elk when they're at their most vulnerable point, which is in the winter.
Ugh.
So now they're having to make it so that only a certain amount of people can go out and look for the sheds.
And if you think this little segment can't get more depressing, the populations around the world are declining in part because of climate change, the environmental factors Don mentioned earlier. The weather is shifting enough and the climate is shifting enough that the food is getting cold. They're getting colder rains that are freezing the food solid. And so it's making it so they can't get at their food, and so they're dying of starvation. So the reindeer pulling Santa's sleigh might be some of the only reindeers left by the end of all this. It's not a fun story, but it's important to realize that it is based on a real animal, and that animal is suffering in game and out of the game. It's not great.
They are, yeah. It's a bummer. That caribou / reindeer are a really cool critter, and they've been used like sustainably for such a long time by a lot of indigenous populations and stuff.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I'm bummed. Let's talk about the happy Pokemon, because I feel like I had to throw this in here because there was no other episode I can think of for throwing this Pokemon in.
Yeah, this one's a bit of a stretch, Lucas, but I'll give it to you.
It is a stretch. It is a stretch, but I'm bummed by the Stantler thing. So we associate the Christmas time with happiness and joy. That's literally the thing. So why not throw in Blissey? You can't stop me.
It is the happiest season of all.
Yes, it certainly is. I mean, I can't prove that scientifically, but for some people it is.
It's in a song.
So it must be true. But one of my favorite YouTubers was like pointing out a thing like, it might not be true, but these likes are.
What's the, is it, I think it's Futurama, where they said like, your tears say more than the evidence ever could.
That sounds like a Futurama thing.
So Blissey is supposed to spread love and happiness, and that's why I kind of put it here. And it's the only Pokemon that is based on something that's already in the game. Like, it's not based on any outside source. Blissey and Chansey are literally just built to represent Nurse Joy. They are just Nurse Joy's a Pokemon evolved around a profession. The egg it apparently carries is supposed to be filled with love and joy, and it makes you a better person, and it literally gives them away.
Lucky egg.
Does it say if it regrows them?
Yeah, I mean, like, it might be just like a chicken, like they're unfertilized. It's just like a chicken, like, here, egg, egg, egg. And when you eat the egg, it makes you a happier and kinder person. So literally, peace on Earth is an omelet away. Like, if you just breed an army of Blissies and just have them feed the world's most turbulent areas, you can create a sustainable peace on Earth with eggs.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I could think about. I can't even think of a better way to describe this Pokemon as literally the creator of world peace in a delicious breakfast. It's great. I love this thing. But again, I know it's a stretch.
Honestly, it makes me think of Kinder Eggs.
Or eggnog.
Oh, but like Kinder Eggs are actually tied to a holiday because they were, I think they were originally given out to children around Easter.
That sounds right.
In Italy, and that's more so what I think of, which kind of tied to the holidays.
Yeah, I'll count it. I mean, when else are we going to talk about this thing?
Now we'll never get to talk about Chansey.
Oh, I mean, when we talk about things that ruined the meta at some point, when this becomes a battle podcast instead of a science podcast, we'll totally talk about it.
Chansey's I would say Blissey's always deal with a bull, but Chansey there's the stupid minimized set that's tedious. Which now Max moves ignore that, so you can just bash it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna punch it.
And also, Chansey can also have Eviolite, can it not?
Yes, it's Eviolite Chansey with minimize, and then you guard split with a Shuckle, and you click minimize and toxic, and it's very annoying. It's very, very beatable at real events because if you play it properly, you can always win on timer. Because you can Chansey can't get KOs, so you
just KO everything else.
Play the first game or two really slow, and then you force sudden death, and then in sudden death, Chansey's not getting KOs, so you just have to get a KO or two in sudden death, and you win. But it's tedious.
Yeah.
And so, to wrap up the holidays, we got to talk about at least one Christmas tree Pokemon. But there's only one, really. Snover.
Well, Snover and Abomasnow. They're both trees.
I mean, Abomasnow is based on, it's like if a Christmas tree got really angry that you...
Have you ever met a Christmas tree? They're very angry.
So, Snover, from what I saw, it is in part based on a holly tree. They are a group of evergreen trees, and they do carry red berries. So whenever you say deck the halls with boughs of holly, holly It started being used in Christmas because, like many Christmas traditions, they took them from pagan traditions to look better. So one of the pagan traditions was that holly was a male plant and ivy was a female plant, and they would use that. They would use the holly as a representation of the birth of Christ and all that sort of stuff. So holly was seen as like a holy thing to use. Also, the leaves were used because they were kind of spiky. People would make Christmas wreaths around their head because it symbolized the crown of thorns that Jesus would wear. I don't know why you would want to bring up like the death of Christ on his birthday, but I don't know. Religion would be weird.
Fair, people get really morbid on their birthdays sometimes, so maybe it's sort of in theme.
Dude, I'm the Catholic, and I got to be like, that's too much, guys. You got to bring it down a notch. So Snover, if you look at the deck, does produce berries, and those berries are super delicious in the wintertime, so a bunch of small Pokemon eat them. That is 100% true in reality. There's a ton of small animals like small birds and rodents and all kinds of things that go and eat the berries of these plants. And they really feed on them more in the winter because as it gets colder, the berry becomes a little bit more palatable and it becomes a little bit softer, so it's able to be consumed easily. Now, here's your PSA.
Don't eat it.
Yeah, do not eat it. Don't you touch it. Don't you look at it. Don't you eat it. I mean, look at it and touch it, fine, but do not eat it.
It's kind of spiky. You probably shouldn't touch it.
Yeah, it's just no. It's a bright red berry. You should know better than eating bright red berries that you don't know. 30 of them can kill a child. Like, they are not nice. These things.
Back, a guy at Disney, I think, died from eating a whole bunch of them.
Oh no!
Like in the park.
It is not a good death. Like, this is one of those diseases that causes nausea, diarrhea. Like, everything's coming out of you. It's not a good disease to go out by. It is a horrid, wretched thing. You do not want to ever eat this. So you added something to our notes here. So fir trees.
Yes. So I will accept the hollyberry interpretation of Snover. I had not thought of it, but I always kind of thought of Snover as more of a conifer tree, which part of that is our fir trees, which are the quote unquote, generic Christmas tree. They're the ones that have the really, short, piney, needle-like leaves. But that was what I thought of, and it's probably a mix of the two, as is most things in these games, right?
Yes.
But so a couple things about conifer trees is they're the ones that are responsible for all the pine cones littered everywhere, particularly in my yard, because I have tons of them around me, and they just drop their pine cones. But those cones carry the seeds, which actually allow them to have such a diverse amount of ecosystems that they can live in. The cone isn't necessarily what they all look like across conifers, because some have that traditional pine cone, while other conifers have more like fleshy berry type ones that look like it. So there's a little bit of mix in between. They isn't like one size fits all, just like not all conifers are evergreen, but there are evergreen ones, like the fir trees that we use, because they keep their leaves in the winter.
Shout out to the bald cypress. It's the only deciduous conifer.
Yeah.
Give them their props. Now, an interesting thing about conifers that helps them survive frost is that they are able to have a concentration of various compounds within their leaves that kind of acts as an antifreeze.
Ooh, that's cool.
So that's kind of why they're a little bit more frost tolerant. That kind of makes them a cool utilitarian plant. That's why, you can think of them in the winter, because they are able to survive the colder temperatures. They also tend to be in a little bit more mountainous regions. Now, I live in North Carolina, and North Carolina, Lucas, I already told you this, so you can't do it. But Don, do you know the two highest producing states for Christmas trees?
Is it not North Carolina?
It's one of them.
All right. Well, I feel like maybe there might be a West Coast state that's got a bunch of them, maybe.
You're definitely warm.
All right. California grows a lot of crap. California.
Close. It's Oregon.
That was I actually thought about Oregon, but I felt like it might be too far north and like wouldn't be because I feel like you want it like they like it cooler, but I don't think you want to be too cold and stuff, because then I feel like you want to have like the sweet spot of like a long growing season for maximum tree growth versus like the right temperature.
Yeah, I think and it's also, I think it's mountainy related to, potentially.
Oh, maybe an elevation thing or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, here's just a couple numbers around the Christmas tree industry that I think are pretty astounding. But between 6 counties across 2 states, so Oregon and North Carolina, between 6 counties, they produce 51% of the 16 million trees harvested nationwide in 2012.
Dang.
Like it's just hyper dense. And so that may have changed over time, but overall, like the Christmas tree growth area is very concentrated. So like, it's a very, very small and dense area, but they produce so much product for the country.
For me and my family, we've always just had the same plastic Christmas tree for like 20
Oh,
years.
we cut ours down every year.
I was always a real tree growing up, but then when I like was on my own, I've been plastic.
Oh, I still go real tree. I'll occasionally though just go get like a random pine tree that's like a sapling and just go Charlie Brown style.
My family, we didn't have much, and we lost all our Christmas decoration to move. It was pretty rough for my family, so that was the only thing my mom could afford, and a few decorations. So now that we're doing better, we've kept the same tree for over 20 years.
Yeah, that's good. That keeps the spirit going.
Yeah, so it nothing wrong with having a real tree.
Lucas, you had talked earlier about the sort of traditions of decorating the trees. You brought up the putting candles in the tree. So when they actually got to electric, which is what you would think would be better than, it's better than putting candles in it. But like, I still wouldn't trust. The first Christmas tree lights were produced in 1890, and I wouldn't trust 1890 light bulbs in my tree.
Weren't those the ones that explode?
I don't know the answer to that, but I know I wouldn't put it in a tree. Now, and this is also to say with trees, having real trees and the lights, like, if you have a real tree, make sure that it stays watered. Don't let it dry out, because that can lead to bad things. They're like Christmas tree fires are a thing. So that's most of what I wanted to kind of add in about the little Christmas tree industry. It's very, very, there's a lot of work that goes into it for just like, there's just such a short, it's a fascinating industry to me, because the payoff period, like, this is their time, November to December, like everything is just building up to this point where they have to hit everything. And it's just like, it's so crazy to be this industry that's built on this one period of time.
I would say the real hustle, because where we've gone before to cut them down, it's like a Christmas tree farm. So you're not only paying for the tree, you're paying for the privilege to cut the tree down. So really, I think that's the racket, because then you have less labor. People are paying you to do more work.
That's how I feel about apple orchards. Just like, yeah, sure. Take your girlfriend, have a magical experience. I'm just going to sit here and watch you pick my apples for me.
Oh, but I love picking apples, though.
And that's how they get you.
I hate apples, so the doctors lurk behind me every day. I have no way to prevent them from coming.
Lucas, there's one other thing that we should talk about with the trees, because you brought it up in our messages about this episode, which is Snover's hidden ability of soundproof.
Yeah. I thought it should be something along the lines of like a hail-based harvest, but you thought differently.
So I do not dispute that a hail-based harvest would be cool, but soundproof also makes sense, because trees are used in landscaping as basically noise filtering. Think about like highways with like trees everywhere, like it's a barrier, like they eat up the sound. So that it definitely makes sense. I wouldn't want it removed, but I will grant that the ice-based harvest would be a nice addition.
Have you ever driven through North Florida, Chris?
I have not.
It is exactly how you describe it, and it's really, really boring.
I like the trees.
I guess you do, but like when I drive through North Florida, it's like, hey, when can I get out of North Florida? I would like to see something else.
There's cool things in There's cool springs in North Florida, and you can't find them because of the trees, and that makes them better.
I mean, stopping can be fun. I'm saying driving through it, not driving through it is
the most
pain.
Exciting driving terrain, I will say.
Yeah, like when you get to Georgia, at least there's like hills and stuff. You can actually look off the horizon. That's neat. You don't do that in Florida. But like when you're driving through North Florida, it's just kind of a bummer. That's really off track. But it's like whenever I think of a highway surrounded by trees, like, oh, you're here to stop the noise now. That's nice. You bore me, but you're nice.
That does it for me in Snover.
Well, all right, guys, let's wrap up the holidays. The holidays are fun, but they got to come to an end.
Never.
It's nice getting the family back together for these little events. I mean, I consider you guys your brothers to me. We have fun. We goof off. We make content for the internet.
Yes.
Y'all are family.
Well, maybe one day Chris can come to Florida and you'll be back to Florida and we'll have a brotherly fish fry.
Oh yeah, that's dude. I was literally thinking about that when I was thinking, like, when I come back to Florida, wherever I end up, I'm gonna be in Florida at least 2 weeks. I'm gonna head over the Dons. We might go fishing, and we're gonna go eat some fish. I know that's one of those things that's gonna happen.
And odds are it'll be something you caught.
Like I know exactly. I know I'll be probably spending one more year here, probably, and then I'm gonna start coming back home. I'm gonna end up back in March. Don, get a boat. Get me a fishing rod. We're going fishing.
I have fishing rods.
Then we're good. Then we're set. We're going.
And if you all are ever in North Carolina, I can show you what real barbecue is.
Yes.
Ooh, y'all.
I'm actually driving up to Kentucky in mid-January, so I might be able to make a detour.
Yeah, when anyone says they have real barbecue, I'm like, oh, y'all about to make me act up because
I've sampled a lot of barbecue in a lot of places in my day, but I'm always interested to try more.
So Texas barbecue place here in my city in Hamamatsu, Japan. So I like that a lot now.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, last time I was in where was I? I was up in the last like regional barbecue I had was when I was up in probably Nashville last year. Had some good stuff. I've had the Memphis barbecue. That's very good. Actually, no, I actually got barbecue in South Carolina and North Carolina the other day when I drove to visit my friend in Virginia a few months back.
I like my barbecue sauce sweet, and I like my meat off the bone as much as possible, like just falling off.
I've actually got ribs in the smoker right now.
There's no wrong barbecue. Let's be real.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. There is no wrong barbecue, like none at all. All right, guys, thank you so much. Again, this is coming after Christmas, but to you guys, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Yule, Happy Kwanzaa. Hanukkah's already passed, but I hope you had a good one. Thank you guys so much for being part of this. We'll see you guys again next year.
Yep.
Take care. Happy holidays.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Adios.